Good morning and welcome to the Big Football Show. It is football weekend playoffs. That's what we're going to be going into this week. NFL and college. I am BA. I'm here with my fellow compadres, Keith Ingle, James Martin, and of course, Jack Hirsch. How y'all doing this morning, fellas?
Fabulous.
Oh, fabuloso.
And so I get you caught a couple of the games yesterday in college football.
If you call them that.
Four sets of teams playing to meet the 4 sets of byes that we're having on the 31st of December. The first one was let's go to the Miami Texas game. That was, if you like defense, bam, there was your game. That was a great game.
As a Hurricanes fan, I'm excited by the outcome. I'm excited by the defense. I'm excited by the run game. I'm excited by Malachi Tony redeeming himself late in this game. And I can also see a lot of downside heading into Ohio State because there were too many mistakes. Carson Beck didn't play that well again. But again, we have to give the defense of Texas A&M credit. We don't do that, right? Happens on my show a lot, and I do it sometimes. Sometimes we say, these teams were so bad offensively, or this team did this, or this team did that, but we don't give the team that caused those things to happen enough credit. And both these teams played tremendous defense, great defensive game plans. And Miami just was able to adjust enough in that fourth quarter. They overcame a bad turnover by Malachi Tony, who's the best freshman in the country by far. And that's not homerism, I can tell you. He is just a dynamic player. They overcome that and get one drive. The kicking games were just like atrocious yesterday, but the wind was blowing a lot harder than you think, and you saw some of that, I think, in the late game in the NFL too. Just a fun game. Again, if you don't like defense, if you like Madden scores, you're not going to like this game. But if you're old school like me, I'm okay with smash mouth football. Fun.
Yeah, I mean, both defenses have players that are going to be drafted in the first round. One particularly, Ruben Baines, probably going to be drafted in the top 5. So you saw what he did. He was unleashed in that game. So, I mean, this is great enough to where both teams were having goose eggs at the half. So nobody scored. It was a scoreless first half. And I think Marcel Reed threw a bad read at the end of the game, and he had an opportunity to tie that game, and that was just a really bad throw. But I tip my hat to Miami. And Keith, to tell you the truth, if you go back to the first game at Ohio State, you look great against a really good running team. And so if Miami can get Fletcher to do what he did in this game, I mean, that last run he had towards the end to propel them to get that score, Malachi Tony got that one last touchdown to bring them up, push them up 10-3. They may have an opportunity there. Who knows?
They're gonna have to. It's gonna have to be a perfect game for them, right? No mistakes, and they have to play defense like they played yesterday and run the football like they did yesterday, and probably a couple bigger plays from Carson Beck. And they'll have a chance next week. I'll find a reason to pick them to win.
Carson Beck is going to have to open things up. He can't just manage a game against Ohio State.
Great.
And I bet the NFL scouts are giving Carson Beck an extra little look in this game, because if he could be successful against Ohio State, his draft stock goes up a lot. But if he really bombs out, it might really plummet. Good
point.
I think at this juncture we know who Carson Beck is. I mean, he's.
I don't think.
You don't think so?
He's a wild card. He shows moments of greatness.
Exactly.
Total mediocrity, but
you just said it, Jack. He's a wild card. That's not what you're going to be. That doesn't breed success. That's somebody coming off the bench. I mean, to say I can spell you and come in and maybe get a game here or there, but I'm really going to be that guy holding the clipboard for the majority of my career, which is not a bad thing. I mean, those guys are millionaires, so I'm not.
He could be the second coming of Jameis Winston at this point.
That'd be okay. for him.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
Listen, I watch every down he's played this year, and I couldn't be more disappointed the last 3 months. He played great the first 4 weeks. But after that, he's not consistent, as you guys have both mentioned. And NFL teams are going to notice that. Less
Miami
too, by the way.
Yeah, Miami had like 7 sacks, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble. They did play. They played the top. They matched what A&M does on defense. They were really good. I was kind of surprised that Miami won that game. I really didn't have a hat in this race, to tell you the truth, but I think that I could have saw Texas A&M winning this game too. I don't think it was going to be by a whole bunch, but I mean, it was a great game. And that Fletcher guy, Mark Fletcher,
Fletcher Jr., tremendous player.
10.1 yards per run. Oh my God, that dude was killing him.
He's a beast. This is what this running game looked like early. Him and Brown both. We didn't see Brown yesterday at all, I don't think. Early in the year, this is the way they played offense, and along with Carson Beck being able to throw the ball a bit better and down the field better. But again, the defense took a lot of stuff away. But you just couldn't bring this guy down. I mean, the number of yards that Fletcher and Brown would get after the first hit has been tremendous when they played well. So they're going to have to do that against Ohio State because it doesn't get easier. They get Ohio State. If they win there, they're going to probably get Georgia or Ole Miss. So they've got, as they should as a 10 seed, they've got like the toughest road probably to the final.
Yeah, because Alabama came back from 17 points down, and they did this in the first half, basically, and they defeated Oklahoma 34-24 to play earn a play to meet Indiana, the top seed. Alabama's defense had 5 sacks and a pick six. Pick six was key to their comeback. That pick six. Mateer, I don't know what he was doing on that one. But,
this Oklahoma's defense didn't play as well as Oklahoma's defense didn't play as well as I thought they'd play. Their offense played a little bit better, especially early in the game, but Alabama kind of played into that as well. This game was very close to being like 24-0. The kid just missed a block punt. It would have been at least a safety. It could have been even worse, but Alabama just dominated. After what was 17-0, they just dominated the rest of the half and into the third quarter. And it was a tale of two games. And I think Alabama and Miami kind of vindicated their picks a little bit by winning. And I'm sorry, Alan, if you're out there, but Oklahoma just does not belong in this field. I've said it all along. If there was a team that didn't belong, it was Oklahoma. But Alabama, great performance. Ty Simpson kept that ship afloat for a while. They could have been blown out of this game so easily. Great job by Kalen DeBoer and his quarterback and that Alabama team. Impressive win. Now they're going to go get probably their clocks cleaned by Indiana, I would say, based on what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma was definitely dominated the first part of that game. That pick six changed the trajectory for sure.
Oh, that was a horrible throw, too. There's nobody there.
That's what I was saying.
Man, that was bad.
That's a real bad throw. All right, so now we're going to get to the other. We'll go with Oregon first. They beat James Madison 51-34 for the right to play Texas Tech. It wasn't as close as the scorer made it in the beginning there. It was all Oregon. Dante Moore, man, that dude. He made some second half mistakes, but I think it was just because his heart was into it at that point because they were already dominating. But yeah, he played really well. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. James Madison, the thing about it, I was looking at the stats from the yardage perspective. Both of them put up 500 yards. It was a high offensive, high octane game.
Yeah, but James Madison's yards were almost all when the game was about over. So,
yeah, that's true.
And people are going to get up and look at the
Still
score.
got to allow them.
No, I get it. People are going to get up and look at the score, and they're going to say, well, James Madison gave him a little I was expecting that from Danny this morning. They're going to think James Madison gave him a game. It's losing by 17. There was no game here. This game was over in the first quarter. And, kudos to James Madison for playing hard and not quitting. I've said this for a while. People are going to talk Mendoza's going to be the number one quarterback off the board. Dante Moore's got the most upside for the NFL. They're the only two guys I would even consider picking in this draft, quite frankly, anywhere near the top 3 rounds. But I like Dante Moore a lot. I think he's got some upside.
And the mock drafts have Dante Moore going to the Jets right now. So I don't know whether or not I should root for the Saints against the Jets today. To be sure, we get that pick.
Go ahead and root for them. They're not going to win anyway. So
I'll just let you know that Dante Moore is from Detroit. With
Oregon too, you got the feeling that in a sense they took their foot off the accelerator, maybe deliberately, because James Madison had absolutely no chance of coming back and winning the game. And now Coach Lanning can crack the whip for the next game. Look at all we did wrong. Sometimes coaches kind of do that. They kind of want their team to have a small lack of success, as long as they're definitely going to win the game. And that could have been the case here.
Coaches like to coach after losses or bad performances. So I think he set himself up for exactly what you said with his post-game remarks, Jack.
So I was going to save this question for after the Tulane Ole Miss game, but I mean, I don't even know if I even want to talk about that game. My question to you, Keith, is: do you think that the committee has it wrong, or the rules have it wrong by allowing a group of 5 come in into the playoffs and play up? I mean, and being lopsidedly beaten down by Power 4 teams. Should a team like Notre Dame shouldn't have been counted out and been put in to make a game more competitive?
If you want the best 12 teams, then they should not be in there. If that's your criteria, and again, we don't know what the criteria is because we say we want the best 12 teams, but then we include teams that are ranked in the 20s or worse, right? There's going to be changes, whether it's this year or next year. They're going to expand, and regardless of whether they expand, there'll be changes to this. They'll make sure 2 teams never get in again. Number one, it was never designed to have 2 of these teams in this playoff. I think probably what will happen is they will give them a chance to get in, but you're going to have to be ranked within the top 15 or maybe the top 12. Right, put them in if they're one of the best 12. Why should there be a criteria unless you're letting them all in? Again, I have been a proponent of a system that would let all the conference champions in and then have X number of at-large teams, similar to basketball. It wouldn't take a lot more. It would take 1 more week of games. But if you're not going to do that, then you shouldn't take any of them unless they rate going. Right? Tulane and James Madison should not have been in there before Notre Dame or Texas. And that's just the fact. So Notre Dame, don't get mad at Miami, and don't get mad at Alabama. Get mad, number one, the 2 best teams that played you played on your schedule that both played this weekend and played each other, by the way. And you're part of a committee. You're part. Remember, the NCAA doesn't run this playoff committee. The conferences run this playoff committee, and Notre Dame has a big vote in that. And you voted to allow this system. And if you're going to let those teams in, then you're not going to get in. But I want to see the best 12 teams. I've always wanted to give little guy a shot. This isn't working. This whole playoff system isn't working. I was such a big proponent of this. It isn't working.
Yeah, but let's be honest. It's a build up to the grand final. There's no guarantee it's going to be Ohio State and Indiana. That's 50-50 whether it'll be those 2 teams or not. But the opening round, for the most part, is always going to be predictable. For the most part.
So is the NCAA, the basketball tournament the same way, right? We get excited because a couple of Cinderellas win, but then they go back to form usually. So it's You know,
You want storylines, and now the storyline to me after the opening round is Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin leaving, and them uniting and so on. So if Ole Miss can go on a run to the national championship game, I mean it's big news.
this was, that's you can't ignore that, right? That was a big story, regardless of the outcome of the game. How they were going to play was a big storyline yesterday. And they showed that, these players want to go out and win a championship, I think, and don't count them out against Georgia next week. So,
just if Ole Miss should somehow win it all, does that diminish Lane Kiffin?
Sure. I think
they're not beating Georgia.
I don't think they'll beat Georgia. I think they'll give Georgia a game. They already beat Georgia once this year. Am I right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, they beat Georgia already. But Georgia's a different team. Georgia's the one team, the team that's gotten better noticeably through the course of the season is Georgia. Hasn't had the same ups and downs. They had their downs early and played much better later. But yeah, to Jack's question, if Ole Miss somehow won or even got to the national championship game, yeah, diminishes Lane Kiffin in a lot of people's eyes, which is hard to do because he's already diminished quite a bit. So,
dang. And there's James' new coach for LSU.
Go Tigers.
Right.
He'll win games. He'll do well there. He wins games. You can't say he doesn't win. So,
well, that's true. Yeah, he does win. Last but not least, and we got to get to it because it was part of playoffs. Ole Miss tops Tulane once again, 41-10 to play number 3 Georgia, 41 play Georgia. So I think you mentioned this to me before, James, the last time we had this discussion about these two teams facing each other, and I didn't realize that Ole Miss beat the crap out of them the first time too. So yeah. Once you told me that, and I was like, and then I saw Ole Miss get a kind of a lead there. I was like, yeah, nah, I'll kind of switch over and watch a couple of plays, and that's it.
It's kind of like going back to the schoolyard where that one kid is the bully, and the little nerd has his money and lunch money, and somebody's coming to take the lunch money. He did it once before. If you hadn't done anything to get better to stop this guy from taking lunch money, he's going to take it again. And that's just exactly what happened. Tulane just they lost their lunch money again. A lot. 41, exactly, almost the similar fashion that they lost in week 4. It was 45-10, and now it's 41-10. It's just, that's why I don't want to keep bringing up beating the dead horse regarding the group of 5 versus Power 4. I just think that Ole Miss was able to beat up the little guy, and they're going to face a bigger, badder bully once they get to Georgia.
I'm not like Keith. I can't watch a few games at once. So Ole Miss and Tulane are playing the same time as the Eagles and Commanders, and I have a decision to make which game I'm going to watch. Of course, on the commercials, I'm going to, change back to the other game back and forth only in the commercials. But, I go into the other room for a moment, at the start of the Ole Miss Tulane game. And when I come back, it's 14-0. So that made my decision easier. It would be mostly the NFL. Because, despite me, with my limited knowledge of Tulane, because I saw him play a couple of times early in the year. And for some reason, I liked Tulane and I thought they had a chance. But it was over at the beginning. You knew there was no way back for Tulane.
Ole Miss didn't miss a beat without Lane Kiffin. Most of those coaches have come back over the course of the last couple of weeks for the playoff run. Even the ones that have left for LSU are going to LSU, which was important. Most of them on the offensive side of football. Golding, nobody's ever had their head coaching debut. He's never been a head coach anywhere in this type of game before. So kudos to him. And I thought Tulane would be better, but Jake Ratcliffe was just a turnover machine and mistake machine yesterday, and quarterback play really cost them. But again, we can't discount the Ole Miss defense, which is better. Probably the best part of that team improvement-wise through the years, quite frankly, is the defense has gotten better each year. I was going to say in the Lane Kiffin era, but now that isn't Lane Kiffin era anymore. But Golding's a big part of that. So.
Yeah, Charlie Weiss Jr. is the offensive coordinator. He was able to come back. But one thing the Ole Miss needs to watch out for is the injury to Quan Lacey, the running back. So I don't know if how that's gonna play out. Hopefully he's okay. But and of course Trinidad Chandler was out for a little bit as well, where Simmons had to spell him for a little bit and turned the ball over, mind you. So we'll see how that goes once they meet up with them again. Meet up with Georgia.
Next week it gets real. Next week it gets real.
Yeah.
I will add, by the way, I'm very disappointed at the schedule of these games. I should play all these games on New Year's Day. I think they can play them all. I really do think they can play them all because I got to play New Year's Eve, and now I got to give up my first night of funny tickets because I'm not missing the Miami Ohio State game. So, anybody want first night of funny tickets here in Albany? Probably not.
All right, from the college playoffs to playoff hopefuls and the NFL, we had 3 games over the course of the last 3 days. We're going to start off with the Chicago-Green Bay game that happened last night. Chicago was down by 10 points with like 3 minutes left in the game, and he came back and won it in overtime on a 46-yard pass from Caleb Williams to DJ Moore. Pretty pass too. He put that ball right in there.
Great pass.
And yeah, it was a great pass. And I mean, Chicago, people want to say they may be the real deal, but they still have 2 more games to play to find, to really truly tell you that. They got to go to San Francisco and play, and then they got to play the Lions. I don't know Green Bay's in a world of hurt right now. They started off the game good. Jordan Love got knocked out in the second quarter with a concussion, and Malik Willis came in there. And Malik Willis was one of the reasons why Chicago was able to mount a comeback because he fumbled the ball in 36 of their own on their own side of the field. So
I like to see a little more enthusiasm.
You're a skeptic, Brian. I mean,
what's that?
You are a skeptic. Give the Bears credit. It was a sensational win. I mean,
you see this logo, right, Jack?
And you should thank them. They opened the door for the Lions.
It doesn't make a difference. Whoever lost, we have to go over. So it doesn't make a difference.
Hands and knees and thank the Chicago Bears. You know who I really gained a tremendous amount of respect for? Fans around the NFL. You see the fans in Chicago to sit through that weather, no empty seats at all. What a comeback. Caleb Williams came of age in this game. I mean, I was always high on him. I was always a believer. But if you notice the way he took charge in the huddle during the biggest crisis situations, you could tell when they focused in on him. He had control of the huddle. His voice was loud and clear. Even the winning touchdown pass, it was set up by an onside kick, only an 8% chance of them happening. And they get the onside kick. 4th down, Green Bay blitzed them the way I knew they would. He's under extreme pressure, yet he gets off a perfect pass in the corner of the end zone to DJ Moore. He brought the team back before them. I mean, unbelievable comeback, unbelievable enthusiasm by the Chicago Bears. And now the Green Bay Packers, they're hurting. They're half game ahead of the Lions. That tie with the Packers, no pun intended, eliminates any tiebreakers. The Lions just have to make up 1 game with 2 to go. They both play the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings aren't an easy out anymore, even though they have no shot at making the playoffs. And then the Lions do play the Bears the last game of the season. Is it going to matter for the Bears that game or not? I don't know what might be at stake for the Bears, at that point. But what a thrilling game yesterday. I think that was the biggest win for the Chicago Bears franchise since they won the Super Bowl. How's that? Since they won the Super Bowl back in the Mike Ditka time.
That's fair.
I'm gonna one up you. I'm just gonna say that not only was it a big win, it was a big win without 2 of their big guys, receivers. We're talking about Roma Dunze wasn't playing. Luther Burden wasn't playing. But DJ Moore stepped up. And, I mean, this is almost like the forgotten guy. But this is the guy, when he first came there, he was the number 1 dude. And he's made a couple of plays like that before with Caleb Williams last year, if you recall. So that's kudos to them. And this is showing that Ben Johnson was the man for the job. I really like what they're doing, and I think Caleb Williams. I pegged him to be a great quarterback. I think he needed to work on some stuff, but and still does. But man, the talent is there. That pass, it was a drop in the basket. I mean, and that defensive coverage it couldn't have been more perfect. That was just it was great coverage, but it was just a great throw to an excellent receiver and a walk off. And man, that's just how you do it.
I have been a Caleb Williams defender for a long time, and there's a lot of detractors on my show because again, in general, we don't give quarterbacks a chance to develop anymore. They're either really good or they're a bust immediately. Doesn't matter. Caleb Williams has never been all that bad. He's been inconsistent. He's got he still has things to work on, as James said. But you saw him come of age a little bit, as Jack said yesterday. And listen, I say these things, and please don't misunderstand. I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. I'm not comparing him to Peyton Manning. But when you can go and play badly, that team played badly, and Caleb Williams didn't play well for 3/4 of that game. But you can suck it up when it counts and play really well. That's one of the marks of a really good quarterback. And I'm not saying he's as good or will be as good as any of those guys. But yesterday he was, and he sucked it up at a time where a lot of guys, they're looking at the ground. They're not taking charge like Jack was talking about. They're looking at the ground. They're looking at the sideline. They're looking anywhere for help. He's taking charge, and that's fun to see him become a leader of that team.
Yeah, I just want to say something about Malik Willis because it seemed, Brian, you gently criticized them. If Green Bay recovers the onside kick, Malik Willis is being given a game ball by Matt LaFleur afterwards for coming in out of the bullpen, and Jordan Love suffered the concussion. So this isn't on Malik Willis. All in all, he did okay, I thought.
The fumble, we're gonna remember the fumble in overtime, and that's a shame because he didn't play badly. I mean, listen, they're not going to win a lot of games with him playing, but he didn't play badly last night. He played well enough to win. He had a team in position to win in overtime, or go ahead in overtime, I should say.
And he's done it before. He's done it last year in spelling Jordan Love. He's actually won a couple of games, coming off the bench. But obviously he's exactly 4-0. Exactly. He's not the guy for to lead the team continuously, but that's what backup's supposed to do. Come in and play. And he played admirably. It's just unfortunately, like you said, that fumble is going to be what people are going to remember.
Well, you touched on Malik Willis very quickly, then we'll get off him. Keep in mind, he wound up in Mike Vrabel's doghouse at Tennessee. We don't know how good Malik Willis could become if he was given, the opportunity to start and he was nurtured along.
I mean, Malik Willis is very complimentary to Jordan Love because when Jordan Love was having his issues last year, like James said, he came in there and performed admirably. In fact, they played some of their best games with Malik. Now, Jack, stop going down, going off on me about Chicago. Chicago is a good team. Ben Johnson has turned that team around. He has. He's made Caleb a better quarterback. He's definitely Caleb is definitely 110% better than he was last year, and you want to see that out of a rookie going to the sophomore year. Sophomore slump. What's a sophomore slump anyway? The dude, he's got 3,400 yards right now. If he has 2 300-yard games. Hopefully he doesn't. But if he has two 300-yard games, he'll be the first quarterback to pass for 4,000 yards for Chicago in ever.
Never.
Ever. So
never.
I mean, he is. Yeah, they've never had one. So I mean, the dude is good. He's that pass at the end for the touchdown was just magnificent. Like I said, they're doing a very good job. So I'm not downing them, but I don't want them to win, obviously, because I need to get in the playoffs. Dang it.
Hold on, Jack. Let's also mention that the team did run for 150 yards as well, so they can run the ball with Mungai and DeAndre.
Mungai, and they got a 1-2 punch. Next game on our docket from let's talk about the Seattle LA game that happened Thursday. Talking about a turnaround in the fourth quarter for Seattle. it looks like the Rams are just going to take it to the house to them. And I mean, the Rams are going to take it to the house to Seattle, and Seattle just came back and buckled up them chin straps and won the game. It was just Kenneth Walker looked like the Kenneth Walker that we're used, we've been wanting to see. That was great. He had a good catch and a run for a he had a run for a touchdown. I think the catch was for a touchdown too. I'm not sure. I think the catch was maybe, but anyway, but he played really good, and that's the best I've ever seen him play this year. As a matter of fact, this season. So, what about that fumble though? That fumble was a very controversial thing in the end zone. What did you guys think about that?
On the 2-point conversion?
Yeah.
That was a backwards pass. It's a fumble.
It's the rule.
I mean,
the rule.
We may not like it, but that's the rule. And it was obviously a backwards pass. And give the officials credit. They called it right on the field, if I'm not mistaken. So good job.
And give the running back, Charbonnet, heads up.
Yes, because they didn't give up on that play. He kind of half-hearted it. I'm not sure if he was just.
I don't think he even knew it either.
I think he just picked the ball up and happened to be standing in the end zone. But I'll give him credit for maybe knowing what was going on. But again, exciting game. I don't think there was any doubt that they were going to go for 2 there at the end because the tie didn't do them a lot of good in this game. So listen, and it cost the Rams special teams coach his job yesterday. So a little odd to be changing your coaching staff, as you're getting ready for the playoffs. So kind of a bold move by McVay.
Special team coaches versus kickers, it's all good.
Yeah.
Those are just.
Well, look here. In regards to that game, we're going to all look back at this game and look back at what Seattle was able to do and what they did. At the trade deadline, they traded with New Orleans for Rashid Shaheed. Already, this guy's got 2 punt returns, or he had a kickoff return and a punt return so far with them. And you saw that jet sweep. He was able to get down the field and get them in position. Special teams matter. And so I don't know if he should fire a coach over something that, maybe, I guess, I don't know. That's what it changed the game when he ran that punt return back. That definitely changed the game. For sure.
That was a great play. And we got to give Sam Darnold some credit. If I'm going to give Caleb Williams credit, I got to give Darnold credit for sucking it up at the end. And these 2 guys, Jack and I talked about it Friday. I mean, you got to win some games in the playoffs for us to really say, okay, you're one of those guys now. But this is a big win for Darnold because what kind of game he doesn't win that we think he doesn't win. Well, he won this one. He was a big part of it, sucking it up at the end. So,
well, it's big. Unless Seattle stumbles, they're going to have 2 games at home to get to the Super Bowl. That'll be their road to the Super Bowl. But do you have full faith in Sam Darnold winning 2 games against 2 elite teams? If they see the Rams again, even in Seattle, who would you pick to win that game? I mean, I would lean towards the Rams.
If you're going to rank playoff quarterbacks, which I know we'll get around to doing at some point on one of our shows, if not all of them, Sam Darnold right now will be at the bottom of my rankings until he shows me he can win. So prove me wrong. That's all. I think he can do it. He's capable.
Yeah, he's capable. But remember what happened the last 2 games he played last year.
That's why I get it. You got to overcome that and show that wasn't who you are, or isn't who you are.
This is one of those games that I fight for the reason why quarterbacks shouldn't have wins and losses attached to them personally, because Stafford was balling out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his fault they lost that game. That's for sure. The dude threw for like 457 yards and 3 he was balling out. He was doing everything he could. He was playing his MVP caliber. But he got the L. Does that mean that it was his fault? No. So he shouldn't have that labeled on him. I hate when analysts do that. They make it a narrative to put the wins and losses on a quarterback. Yeah, they're a leader, but shouldn't be attached to them. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. But anyway.
But on the flip side of that, I will say that Sam Darnold, that egregious 3rd quarter interception he threw in the red zone was just, I thought the game was over.
No,
the game was over. But at the end, he redeemed himself. I mean, not only with a touchdown pass, but also with the 2-point conversion. And that was clutch. So you got to give him some credit there.
Vikings fans rejoice. No. They let that dude go. I don't know why, but whatever. The other game that we had yesterday was Philadelphia over the Washington Commanders, 29-18. Philadelphia does clinch the NFC East and also eliminates the Dallas Cowboys at the same time. It started off slow like I thought it was. I thought Washington was going to take over that game a little bit, and then Philadelphia was going to come back, and that's exactly what happened. And we're down 10-7, and then that horrendous kick, man. My dude, come on, Elliott. What's wrong with you, buddy? But yeah, it was okay. And Saquon did a very good job running. He did a way better job than I thought he's been doing for the last couple of games. So maybe that'll be a motivational thing for him going forward and the team running the ball.
Best game of the year, I would say, for Saquon.
Yeah.
They gave him 21 touches.
There you go.
You mentioned Jake Elliott. I mean, missing 3 field goals wide left, all carbon copies of the next. And then late in the game, the controversy when the Eagles have the game locked up 27-10, and they go for a 2-point conversion instead of kicking the extra point. And Nick Sirianni's saying, well, percentages, that's what he's looking at. But I don't see the percentages. If you don't get the 2-point conversion, all Washington needs to do is kick 2 extra points on 2 touchdowns and a field goal to tie, as opposed to, 2 2-point conversions for whatever. But it upset the Washington Commander players, and even if, Coach Quinn says we'll see them in 2 weeks, I wouldn't be doing that, but so Washington at the Eagles. And then there were fights on the field. You even see Big Dom out there for the Eagles. I got a big kick out of
Washington's been getting it. Washington players been getting into it with a lot of other teams.
But in 2 weeks, it could be chippy when they play again in 2 weeks. But there's going to be nothing on the line. The Eagles have the novelty the next couple of weeks of just getting ready for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be overly concerned about seeding in the next couple of weeks, and they'll rest up and they'll be ready to go, come playoff time.
I haven't had a lot of nice things to say about Nick Sirianni, but there's nothing wrong with that 2-point call. I'm sorry. The game's not over. Was Washington going to stop trying to score with 4.5 minutes left? I don't think so.
Right.
If they were going to stop, then yeah, okay, I'll stop trying to score too. I get so ticked off over some of these. Well, they ran it up. If you're going to stop trying, I'll stop trying. You're not going to.
You act like he put 50,
yeah, well, you could say that about any.
You didn't even do that. 29 of.
I will say it about that until you stop playing. I'm not going to stop playing. That's all I'm going to say.
Just tell them to hush.
That's teams.
I wasn't offended about them going for the 2-point conversion, but you can't have that attitude. What happens if
nobody should have been?
I've seen 3 touchdowns scored in 4 minutes a lot of times in the NFL. Weird stuff happens every week.
Right.
Every week.
This is the NFL.
Right.
That's just complaining just to be complaining about something because your team
frustrated in Washington. It's been a bad year. It was a bad game. Suck it up.
So today we'll be heading to today's matchups, and we're gonna hit up Keith first for his game. The New England Patriots going to Baltimore and facing the Ravens. Ravens are favored by 3.5. What sayest you, Keith, in this?
This is a big spot for the Patriots and for their season. It's been a success. Let me start there, right? I can't say if things went south now, I'd feel awful. I wouldn't feel great because Jack and I talk about perceptions changing all the time, right? My perception is not the same as it was in week 1. Season should be a success. This is an important game because they melted down in that second half last week and lost a game they should have won. They should have won that game, but you didn't, and that's all that matters. How they bounce back tonight is huge to me. How the rest of the season is going to go. It's really the only tough game left on their schedule. Sorry, they got the Jets and Dolphins. Dolphins playing a little better. We'll see what happens there. But this game is key, not just for keeping pace and staying a game behind the Broncos and hope they can lose somewhere, but for their own mental state, if you will, and their emotional state going forward and confidence. So I think how they play tonight is going to be important. the fact that Lamar Jackson still isn't running around helps the Patriots because they've always struggled. I swear to God, for 20 years, they've struggled against this type of quarterback. But if he's going to sit in the pocket, they're going to have a much better chance. I think Mike Vrabel, in some ways, I don't think he wants to lose to Buffalo. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any coach ever wants to lose. But we always coaches talk all the time. It's much easier to coach guys after losses than after 10 or 11 wins in a row. I'm glad they lost someplace, quite frankly. I did not really want to go into the playoffs with a 14-game winning streak. I did not want that. Because you need to get yourself knocked down a peg, I think, to really kind of maybe make that next step. And we'll find out whether it matters tonight or not. I think the Patriots find a way to sneak this out. I think it'll be a close game. And the kicking game matters. Special teams will win this game for the Patriots.
I think, Keith, you're rationalizing Buffalo is the big game for New England. And then they're not going to be as up for Baltimore as they were for Buffalo. And they're catching the Ravens at the wrong time. The Ravens have finally got it together, and they're going to be a Super Bowl threat for the rest of the year. And going into Baltimore, following the emotional letdown against the Bills, they're going to lose by a couple of touchdowns to the Ravens.
I think you're missing
like
point.
30-16. They've got some medicine. Medicine is on the horizon. The medicine is called the Jets. And that'll straighten New England out for the following week. They'll get Jet medicine.
Playing well tonight and beating this team is important. You're missing a point with Mike Vrabel again. If you don't think this team's coming out pumped up to play tonight, you're missing the whole point about Mike Vrabel and what he's brought to this organization.
The best thing that could have happened to New England is they got flexed into that Sunday night game.
Is it? I hate those Sunday night games. Oh, you said the team, not me. Okay.
So I love what the Patriots are. I love what they've become, and I like Mike Vrabel. I think he's the best thing for them right now. I just think that, unfortunately, they might be in a situation where they might lose two games in a row, because I got to agree with Jack, because I just think that the Ravens, their back's against the wall. They can't lose. Fair. They cannot lose. So they're going to come in especially at home, they're going to come in with their hair on fire pretty much, because they know they're going up against a great team coming in and coming off just an unfortunate loss. I think I give Buffalo credit for coming back. I give Josh Allen a lot of credit for their comeback, but that team is tough. I just think they could afford another loss probably here, and because they're still a great team in New England. But I think because of Baltimore cannot afford any more losses. If they lose, they're out, and the trajectory of the playoffs has totally changed. There's no Mahomes. Soon if Baltimore loses, there's no Lamar, and so you'll only have Josh Allen and an up and coming young gun in Drake May. So I just think that it's going to be tough. I think it'll be a close game, but I think at home I'm going with Baltimore on this one.
Yeah, and again, reiterate what Jack said too. I think that New England is catching Baltimore at the wrong time. Baltimore needs this game. They're at home. Like I said, it just got changed to a Sunday night game, so it's going to be in prime time, and that's what Baltimore likes. They like those prime time games to showcase themselves. So I'm not saying Vrabel won't have them ready. I'm pretty sure Vrabel will have them ready. He's that kind of a coach. He's a Dan Campbell type of coach. You might lose the game before, but you ain't gonna win the next. You're not gonna lose the next game. So let's regroup, get out there. So he's gonna have all his horses again. But it's just the Ravens are just.
I think you brought compared Campbell and Vrabel, and I love that comparison. I love their attitudes are very similar. I think instead of the Pro Bowl, we should have a cage match between Mike Vrabel and Dan Campbell, like at halftime of the Super Bowl. That would be more fun.
Chris,
I would definitely watch that more so than
Jake Paul.
Than the actual flag football.
Jake Paul.
Or Jake Paul. I'm going to call Netflix and tell them to set that match up.
Jake Paul. All right. So, okay. So since we got both Jack and James here, we're going to go to the Saints and the Jets game. The Jets will be at the Saints.
Those teams
and we got the Saints are favored by 6.5. Jack, what do you think about that?
Well, you know what I'm kind of glad about being in Florida? My local game won't be the Jet game. So instead, I'm going to get to watch the Panther Buccaneer game instead of getting stuck with the Jet Saint game. I don't see much scoring in this game. I mean, Aaron Glenn just, we moved on from Steve Wilkes as his defensive coordinator. I would think Aaron Glenn is going to be more involved in the defense this week. It's a little message to the players to get it together. They're playing for jobs next week. I see a low-scoring game here. I mean, Tyler Shuck has been good for the Saints so far, but I think James would know better than me. But the jury, I still think, is a little out on him, whether he's going to be their franchise quarterback or not. They still want to see more of him, I believe. And I see the Jets, even with Brandon Cook, a third-string quarterback who's not bad as long as he doesn't make these awful mistakes. He can move the offense, but then he tends to throw the dumbest of interceptions. If he avoids that, I'm going to go with the Jets actually to upset the Saints, something like 17-16. Now, the Jets have the lowest amount of takeaways in the NFL. I have a feeling that's going to change today. They're going to get a couple of takeaways. And
how many takeaways they got?
That a little in that way. So I'm going with the Jets to upset the Saints.
How many takeaways they got? They are the worst. They are the worst in the league in takeaways. The worst.
You can bash
takeaways.
If New England loses tonight,
takeaways. The worst. Yeah, the worst.
Did
I say best? I meant worst.
Okay.
No, you said worst. You said not good.
Yes.
If New England loses tonight, you can still bask in the fact that the Saints and the Jets combined wins are still less than yours. So, I mean, we are. That's the reality. We're not prime time. Saints never got a prime time game. The people who scheduled these games knew what they were doing. We weren't. We were in a rebuild, and we're still in rebuild. That's the reality. In regards to Tyler Shuck, I like what he's doing. I think, I was a Rattler guy. I was totally a Rattler fan. I still am. I think Rattler has opportunity to be, if he's not going to be the starter here, he'll be somewhere else. But I have to admit and be pleasantly surprised in what Tyler Shuck has been doing. And he's against two teams that are vying for the NFC South title, he took them both down. I would say individually, he brought out the best in players, and that's what I saw. To me, you know what that looks like? It kind of looks Drew Brees like. Kind of looks his size. He kind of looks like Josh Allen, out there running the ball, throwing the ball, some just strikes to guys. Man, Devon Vele, he wasn't doing anything since he'd been here. We got that trade from Denver, and the last couple of games. Mind you, he's had some really big games, and he's the guy that we thought we were getting. He's showing that. Chris Olave looks a lot better. He's about to hit 1,000 yards this game against the Jets. The problem is we lost our running back Devin Neal. He's on IR for the season, and Devon Vele, the guy I was just talking about, is also on IR for the season. So Chris Olave and a few other guys, we'll see. I think. The biggest thing is, can Shuck continue to improve upon what he's done and make guys look better, guys that are no-name guys like Drew Brees used to do? And I think he will. And I think the Saints are going to win this game at home. It won't be by much, I think it'll be enough to go ahead and win. And it's going to be on the shoulders of Tyler Shuck. And to me, I think he probably is. If he's not the franchise guy, he's not a guy that the Saints have to worry about next year in drafting a quarterback. They don't have to, especially with the pool of quarterbacks that are out there right now. They don't have to worry about drafting a quarterback. They're going to use Tyler Shuck as their starter for next year at least, and then he'll show you then if he's the franchise guy going forward. But I like the Saints.
I was going to comment Spencer Rattler. Maybe he'll be a viable quarterback down the road, but the way you say, well, he could start somewhere else. Come on, where's he going to start? I mean, the Raiders aren't going to call the Saints and ask for Spencer Rattler. Are you kidding?
The Jets may.
The Jets wouldn't. The Jets not to make him their starter. Are you kidding?
He's better than what you got there now, sir.
I'm not even sure he's better than Justin Fields. I mean, come on. I mean, but even if he is, which isn't saying much at this point, Spencer Rattler isn't looked at as a starter anywhere. I mean, maybe he catches lightning in the bottle, he goes somewhere else, gets in as a backup and plays well, and that opens an opportunity. But based on what we've seen, no one would get him with the idea that he's going to start for them. Come on, James.
Okay.
Come on, James. Jeez.
James.
Forgive me. Yes.
The key is nobody cares about Spencer Rattler anyway. He's on the bench, and he's Tyler Shuck is the quarterback here, and he showed enough. I think they win this game today. I think Tyler Shuck again still some paint to touch up on the body here, but he's also an older, more mature guy than a lot of these guys that we talked about so far. He's 26 years old, and they can't wait as long for him to develop either. They do have to find out now. But James is absolutely right. The fact that he's played well enough not to go panic and chase a quarterback who's not worth chasing next year or in this draft, because there's nobody really will. They're not going to be in a position to get somebody that is going to be a franchise altering quarterback. I don't think any of these guys coming out are a franchise altering quarterback. No. And they get to fill some other positions. And I think the Saints are they're on the right track. If we're going to talk about bad teams and maybe getting something out of this season, I think the Saints have done as good a job as any bad team this year, making progress towards the future.
A lot of that has to do with the drafts this year. Almost every draft they had this year has paid dividends on the field. Jonas Sanker, 3rd round safety. Devin Neal, 6th round steal as a running back, and and of course Tyler Shuck as a 2nd round 40th overall. He may turn out to be one of the best quarterback in this draft that came out.
Now, with that said, did I see this game got flexed till 1 a.m. after the Patriot game, or am I wrong?
No. The Jets Saints game got flexed to 7 in the morning.
They got flexed right after the Jake Paul.
No, it got flexed. It got flexed to a blackout. It got flexed to a blackout. It's not showing anywhere.
Well, they give you money to attend the game.
Right.
Giving out vouchers. Hey.
I'm free.
Hey, Keith, who did you pick in that game, Keith?
New Orleans to win this game.
Hey, Jack, did you know that they signed Hendon Hooker? Your guys signed Hendon Hooker?
There you go. You got your quarterback.
Wait. The Jets signed Hendon Hooker.
Yes, they did.
That's an upgrade, actually. I mean, you would know more about him than I would. 3rd round draft right to the Lions.
I'm laughing, though. You see me laughing over here, so when you say upgrade.
So, I mean, Hendon Hooker's had, been injury prone, but there's a little upside if he stays healthy and he gets an opportunity. I wouldn't completely discard him. And Aaron Glenn Aaron Glenn is very familiar with him from Detroit.
Can I get this straight that Jack just bashed Spencer Rattler for like 10 minutes and says Hendon Hooker is maybe
upgrade?
No, Tyler Shuck is better than Spencer Rattler. That's my point.
Oh, okay.
And Hendon Hooker might actually, if he gets it together, fulfills his potential, might actually be the best current quarterback on the Jets.
Oh, well, that's not setting the bar.
But you just said Spencer Rattler was not better than Justin Fields.
Well, he's not.
And now you're saying Hendon Hooker is better than Justin Fields?
Hendon Hooker was given a raw deal at Detroit.
Oh, where's my mute mic? My mute mic.
Yeah.
A raw deal. He's a backup quarterback. What kind of raw deal is that? If
well,
you don't perform as a backup quarterback.
The way they treated him, he bashed him out the door. I mean,
listen, he's a really
he bashed himself out the door. They gave him ample opportunities to solidify that number 2 quarterback spot, and he couldn't do it.
Something to do with Tennessee quarterbacks. He reminds me of Joe Milton in New England. They feel like the same guy. Really good college.
Jack,
can't make it on this level.
Don't be delusional. If he couldn't make it with all those weapons in Detroit, he's going to make it there with no weapons in New York.
He wasn't going to replace Joff as the quarterback. He never had a chance.
Should he have that?
He had an opportunity on. Where's my mute mic again?
He wasn't there to replace Goff. He was
No,
there
of
to be
course
his backup.
not.
The dude
But the idea
is
the
about
Lions,
as old as Goff.
but the idea the Lions would use a third-round draft choice on a quarterback when they didn't need a quarterback says something for Hooker's potential coming out of college.
You draft you draft backup quarterbacks in a third round.
No, you usually don't back it. You don't usually won't get a backup in the third round unless he has a lot of upside.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jack, in regards to there was potential. I mean, he was before his knee injury, he was Heisman hopeful. So I mean, he was really lighting it up. But when he got an opportunity in the league to show something, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good.
Consider this. In practice, he was going against Aaron Glenn's defenses in Detroit. The Aaron Glenn has to be an expert when it comes to Hendon Hooker, seeing what he can do. And he has to like him a lot, to bring him over, to the Jets. And maybe that's your answer. Maybe that's your answer next year. Before we know, the Jets might fall out of the position to get one of the two quarterbacks that Keith mentioned who are viable to be drafted. And Hendon Hooker gets to compete for the starting job with the Jets next year. Maybe fulfills his potential. I mean, maybe that's the plan, and it would be a brilliant plan, if that came to fruition.
No, because Hendon Hooker is the guy that he was in college.
Yeah.
He is. He's a great very good college quarterback. That's a lot of those guys can't make it on the next level.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also have the Saints. Sorry, here, Jack. I just don't see the Jets winning that one. And I like AG. I think AG is slowly but surely turning that team around. It's not as emphatic as the Lions turned around when they went 30-13-1, but he's turning them around. I can see different things that he's doing.
He's turned them around backwards so far this year.
Sometimes you got to move backwards to go forward, Jack.
Yeah, I'm all for giving AG another year. I'm not calling for him to be fired, but it's been a tough first year. He's made mistakes, and okay, let's see what he does.
Yeah, let's move on to the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Talked enough about that. Just before you go there, Keith, we'll talk about a bad one. The Atlanta Falcons going to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Atlanta's favored by 3. How you feel about that game?
I feel like I should have left.
That was a wrong choice.
A good game before he goes. Is that what you think it keeps to give him that game before he goes?
We're already there, Jack. We've got a minute and a half.
I have no idea. I can't. The Falcons will win this game just because they're more talented, and maybe they want to play for their coach who's going to get fired no matter what they do. But I'll take the Falcons in this game just because I got to pick somebody by the rules.
I figured it was going to be a quick one because you have like a minute left here, so I want to give you a bad one.
You threw me a curveball with that one, I'll tell you.
See, Jack, there's rhyme to my reasoning. Okay.
I mean,
anyway, who you got, Jack?
I'll go with the Falcons. I mean, I picked the Cardinals to win a number of games early in the year that they didn't win, and the Cardinals are playing for nothing at all, it seems. And Falcons, another disappointing year. Year after year, the Falcons are colossal disappointment. And in every year, we think they're going to contend for the division title, and we'll probably think that next year as well. There'll be at least one of us here who's going to pick the Falcons to win their division, and they'll probably have the same type of year. Again, is Raheem Morris going to survive as the Falcon coach?
No.
I think probably not, Keith, but these 3 games might have a bearing on it. I'll go with the Falcons 24-21 today.
So this might be the battle of the tight ends. Trey McBride and what's the kid's name in Atlanta? He had 166 yards last game. Kyle Pitts, yeah, man. He really that's the best game he's ever had since he's been there with 3 TDs. And so maybe he keeps it rolling. I think Kirk Cousins is going to light it up again, and maybe he hits him up. And I think they will.
Jack.
Light it up again. The only thing he's going to light up is a cigarette in the tunnel, to get out his frustration over how he plays. Come on, light it up, Kirk Cousins.
He lit it up last week. What are you talking about, man? I'm just saying, he'll light it up again. I don't think the defense. I mean, again, what that person said, this is a toilet bowl, or what was this? The bowl, bottom feeder bowl? Yeah, I mean, it is. But Atlanta is talented. And so they're a very talented team. I think he'll do it again, and they're going to win the game. That's meaningless for either one of these teams, but they'll win. And I think Kirk Cousins will be at the helm. He'll light it up.
Yeah, I'm saying Atlanta's winning. That's all I'm going to put to that one. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for that last pick there.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, Keith, we'll talk about Kirk Cousins.
I'm just keeping it moving
on tomorrow's show.
I'm going to go now.
Yes,
hope
you do.
That's back to my life.
All right, sir.
Okay.
See you, Keith.
Good afternoon.
Bye. Bye.
Lord. Okay. All right, let's get an exciting game since that's what Jack over here is. All right, Jack, here you go. Since you're in Florida, we'll go to this game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are taking on the Carolina Panthers. Buccaneers are favored by 3. Who you got there, Jack?
Let me first say I've been 100% correct from the beginning of the year about the Carolina Panthers. I said they go 8-9 on the season. They're 7-7. They're not going to go 8-9 when all is said and done. So kudos to Jack for knowing what the Panthers are all about. They'll win one of the 3 games. They're not going to win at Seattle when they go play there. But, they'll manage to get a split with the Bucs in the 2 remaining contests that they have. The question, do they win today or do they win the last one at Tampa Bay when it's meaningless when Tampa Bay's already clinched the division? I'm going to go with Tampa Bay to win today's game. High-scoring game. I could see a 34-30 game. Tampa Bay has got to wake up from this funk. And I think at some point the switch comes on. They wake up from this. Baker Mayfield rallies them. And they win this game at Carolina. And then, yeah, it's a game of the day to me. I don't know why. There's several good games. Like if you ask James what's the game of the day to him, maybe he hasn't thought it out, and I didn't think it out until this moment. What's the game I'm most looking forward to? It's actually that game. The Panthers kind of maybe let the season, I don't want to say let the season get away. If they don't make the playoffs, they're going to look back at the Saints loss. That was a damaging loss. I mean,
Both
they
of them.
really couldn't afford. Yeah, and but I think the Buccaneers finally rebound. I could see it the second half of this game. They finally get it together and overtake Carolina in a thrilling game.
What you got, James?
I'm going to go the opposite here. I don't know if the Panthers are going to be 7-9. There's a potential that or 7-10 or 8-9, right? 8-9. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be 8-9 or not. But I think they're going to win this game at home against Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is reeling, man. They're having some major problems there right now, and I think the downward spiral continues. They're going to have a tough one. Don't mind you. The Panthers definitely have a tough schedule. They have a tough remaining 3, and I agree with you. They're not going to go to Seattle and win that game. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to get beat down. But they seem to play the biggest games against the biggest teams. So who knows if they go up there and win that game
at
or not.
home.
But
Kansas.
Yeah. But with that said, they're at home with the Bucs, and I like them to win this game in a close one. But I think the Panthers are going to win this game.
Yeah, I think like we were talking about the Ravens, Patriots catching the Ravens at the wrong time. I think this is the same to be said for Tampa Bay and the Carolina. I think the Panthers are catching Buccaneers at the right time, and I think they're going to win this game, especially at home. They know they dropped a bad one to the Saints. No offense there, James, but they're another team that's kind of talented too. And it's like they're so inconsistent. And this is the reason why I had them at like 9-8 too. 9-8, it's the best, 10-7. But because they're wishy-washy like that, and they're so inconsistent. They play real good against some teams, Green Bay being one of them, and then being bad against bad teams. They can't keep doing that. But I think they're going to right the ship at least for this week. They'll be 8-7. They'll be actually the leaders of the division for a week until they have to go play Seattle.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys. Think of the map. Tampa Bay can actually afford to lose today's game, even though it's a big game.
Yeah,
let's say they lose. They're one game behind the Panthers. Unless the Panthers win at Seattle, and you can't assume anything, I know that, but we all don't think they're going to win at Seattle, the Panthers. That means all they have to do, the Buccaneers, is beat the Dolphins, and they'll stay one game behind the Panthers going into the final game of the regular season in Tampa Bay against the Panthers. And if they win that game, the Bucs, they win the division. It's a big game, but not a must game for the Buccaneers unless the Panthers flip the script. They win today and then they go into Seattle and win. I mean, that does change everything. And like I said, and the Buccaneers are the game. They're playing the Dolphins with Quinn Ewers, a rookie quarterback. You mean they're not going to beat Miami in that game? I would think they would.
That's your guy, Jack. Don't even try it. Anyway, next game that we're going to go to is the Raiders going to Houston, taking on the Texans. Texans are favored by 14. I don't think the direction that Vegas is going to be going is anywhere forward. That's for sure for the rest of these games. Who you got in this one, Jack?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was reading this morning about Tom Brady. He has a 10% ownership stake in the Raiders. Why Mark Davis gave him 10%? 10%, even though your minority owner is somewhat significant. And it was Brady's idea reportedly to bring in Geno Smith as the starter and Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. So if I'm Mark Davis, am I listening to Tom Brady anymore with his influence going forward? Because those two moves have been awful. Who might be the best team at football in this moment? Conceivably, it could be the Texans, for all we know, after getting off to an awful start. They played really, really well the last couple of months, and maybe they have the top, in all due respect to teams like the Broncos, etc. They might have the best defense in the league. The Ravens really going to go into, the Raiders going to go into Houston and even seriously compete? I don't think so. I think the Texans win by, a good 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, so what's the spread, BA?
14 points.
I agree with Jack. I think it may be about 3 or 4 touchdowns. Stranger things have happened, where teams out of nowhere just, look to the football gods and get some help. But I just don't think there's any opportunity for the Raiders to go into Houston against that defense and show any signs of life. I just think that they're done. They were done at the beginning of the season, and there's nothing to show any type of miracle that they go in and win this game. I think they maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns, unfortunately, for the Raiders.
By the way, I owe you an apology, James. If Spencer Rattler was on the Raiders, I would allow him to compete for the starting job against Geno Smith.
But not against Hendon Hooker or anybody. Hilarious, Jack.
Yeah, I would say that the thing about this Texan team, especially on their defense, they are metal to the pedal or pedal to the metal, whatever, every game. So I never see them slowing down. And there's times that they do get what you would call idle. And so some teams will, get a little bit up and down the field that they're playing. But mostly that defense is just, they're hungry. They're trying to kill everybody back there. They don't care who it is. They are trying to stop everything and just. I'm not saying they're the 85 Bears. I'm not saying they're the 2000 Ravens. I'm not saying that at all. But they play with that tenacity, and it's an even tenacity. It's not just, they don't lead the league in sacks. They don't lead the league in interceptions or turnovers or anything like that. But they play with a tenacity. And I think that's something you have to have when you go to a Super Bowl, is that defensive tenacity. If their offense can continue to produce like they have been for the last couple of games with CJ, and the running game gets on pace, I would not want to play them in the playoffs. That would not a team I would want to face. I got Houston in this game as well, and I'll go with you guys. I think it's going to be over 14 points.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting, fellas, and we never discussed this element of all the coaches in the NFL. Who are the player coaches, if you know what I mean? I mean, you could be a great coach without being a player coach. For example, Bill Belichick, when he coached the Patriots, he wasn't a player coach. I mean, he was a great coach. But I get the feeling if I had to pick one person as a player-friendly coach, I think it would be D'Amico Ryan. He just seems like to be one of the guys, who they love, who they rally around. Like he blends in as if he's on that defensive unit, like he's one of those guys. I think he commands that level of respect. So when we talk about the great coaches in the NFL, maybe because he's a relatively new coach, we maybe tend to overlook D'Amico Ryan a little, but he's done a standout job, with the Texans.
Yeah, he's been excellent for them. I mean, you can see it on the defense. I think his defensive coordinator is just up to par with him as well. I think both their minds combined has made his defense the way it is right now. But yeah, I think Houston is like one of the teams you don't want to see in the playoffs. You just don't. I wouldn't want to if I was any of those teams. I mean, they lost. And to think of this, the team that they say they're the best defense statistically. They did play the Broncos earlier this year in Houston, and they lost because Bo Nix had one of his fourth quarter, comebacks, and that was kind of unusual to see for Houston to give up that in a fourth. But I mean, it is what it is. I think that would be a great playoff game if that would ever come down to it. I'm telling you that. Next question goes along with this one too. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to Tennessee. Chiefs are favored by 2.5. Just remember, Patrick Mahomes is not playing. Question that follows that is by Damon. Do you think Andy Reid is done coaching after this year?
No.
I mean, Andy Reid's an older guy. Why are we willing to discard these coaching legends who've been such great coaches? As soon as they have a little bit of a down year, I think we talked in the past show about Nick Sirianni. He's been a great coach with the Eagles. And just the idea that someone would suggest is Nick Sirianni in trouble is ludicrous to me. Andy Reid, who was an outstanding coach before he got to the Chiefs. He took the Eagles to a Super Bowl. He was the top of the line with the Eagles. Andy Reid, one of the great coaches in the NFL, as long as Andy Reid wants to coach, he's physically up to it. Why is it even a discussion? Andy Reid should be allowed to go out on his own terms. There are few coaches in sports who you allow them to go out on their own terms. One could have been Greg Popovich, for example, with the Spurs. Certain guys, leave them alone. Don't even mention that they've done coaching. It's completely up to Andy Reid. Case closed. But with that said, the Chiefs could actually lose this game today. What are they playing for? They've got to be demoralized. Football's a game of emotions. If you're a player, guys, okay? If you're a player, how are you up for this game if you're the Chiefs? And at least the Titans might be playing with a level of enthusiasm. That can't be the case with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs don't win this game on talent, they could be in trouble. But with that said, I'll go with the Chiefs to eke out a victory, something like 24-20. Gardner Minshew is going to want to do really well. For him, this is at least an important game. And I'm sure his receivers, running backs, will want to pile on the stats. So, I'll go with the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. But if they lose to Tennessee, they've really hit rock bottom.
I don't know if they hit rock bottom or not. I think they hit rock bottom already with an injury to their quarterback. But I will agree with you, Jack, in regards to Andy Reid. There's no way that unless he wants to retire himself, you're not coming after him. If anything, people want him to leave the Chiefs and come to their team because Andy Reid has been a dominant head coach for years now, and from his days when he was an offensive coordinator. I mean, was he offensive coordinator for the Packers? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all to the Eagles as their head coach and their success there. And now, the Chiefs. And so it'll be a situation where if he feels like he's just tired, he wants to step down, then that's when he would do it on his own terms. There's no way that anybody would question whether or not he should be the head coach or a head coach in his league, but let alone being the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. With that said, I picked an upset here. I think Tennessee is going to win this game. I think it's a really good matchup with both sides. And Gardner Minshew can come in and spell any quarterback. He's shown it. He's another one of those guys that will show flashes and come in and win 1 or 2 games for you, but that's about it. I think Simmons is dominant on the defensive end. I mean, on the defensive line, and he might give him some problems in that regard. But I think Cam probably wants to get another win in there, and they're going to upset at home.
James, maybe you know the answer to this, Brian. Whatever happened to Eric Bieniemy, the hottest head coaching candidate around, hot assistant? He goes to the Washington Commanders because he wants to reshape his career. He had no play calling duties with the Chiefs, but he had the most cushiony job because Andy Reid wasn't going to fire him. And, you're the offensive coordinator with Patrick Mahomes there, even though you're not calling the plays. And where is he now? Is he in a Division III school? I don't know. I don't mean to be funny, but where is he? I don't know.
He is the running backs coach for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I wasn't even aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, so 8B, you had the all points bulletin. You found him because I thought he was on a milk carton too. It's somewhere. I didn't realize that.
And that's not that bad of a job because the Bears are ascending.
That's where he started off at.
That's where he started off.
Yeah.
Because he was a running back himself for Colorado, right?
Mm.
Yeah, for the Buffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But obviously he's doing a good job with both of the running backs they have there in Chicago. So There you go. For this game here, you'd want to say Tennessee, but Tennessee has been gifted the 2 wins that they've gotten. Let's be real. 2-point conversion against Cleveland that failed epically. And the fact that the Cardinals practically gave them the football game, and they were just there to line up to get touchdowns because the Cardinals put them in so many scoring positions. It wasn't even funny. I just don't. Titans are terrible. They are. They're terrible with a capital T. They're terrible. Cam Ward is the only bright light that I see there. Justin Simmons is the other guy that I like. Zeitler, he's the only, and he's got a bad rating because he's playing on a bad offensive line on a bad team. But he's a great offensive lineman. The only one that they got. The Chiefs. I don't care who they throw in there. They're still going to play at a professional level. They know they're out. They know their quarterback is done. Minshew is, of course, he's going to be Magic Minshew because that dude, he wants to show. He's a show guy. He wants to show people that he's still got it. You know what I'm saying? That's what mostly backup quarterbacks do when they're done being starters. They want to show that they can still start. So it's not going to be no blowout by any means. It'll probably be like a 27-26 game or 14-13 a game. Depends on what defenses want to show up. And I got Kansas City in that one. Let's see. Let's go for. All right. We'll talk about my game. Pittsburgh is going to Detroit to play the Lions. The Lions are favored by 7 points. Who you got, Jack?
I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite coaches is Mike Tomlin. He's one win away from doing it again, having a winning season. I thought Pittsburgh was going to have a poor year. I thought they go about 6-11 or something like that. And they're 8-6. One more win, he's guaranteed a winning season, even if they don't make the playoffs. I think it's been a successful year, but I don't think he gets a win today. I think the Steelers are very average, and I think the Lions are given a new lease on life. I mean, that in Detroit, they're going to be really fired up for this game, and I think the Lions win this decisively. Let's see with Aaron Rodgers. Have we gone to sleep on Aaron Rodgers? When we talk about the top quarterbacks, no one mentions his name anymore. No one considers him top 10. I guess if we did a quarterback rating, people would put him 16th, 17th. Let's see Aaron Rodgers tonight go out and win a game. Let's show that he could still do it. I don't think he can. He's more like a wonderful game manager, worthy enough to start, but that's about it. I like the Lions something like 28-13. I think they'll be fired up. Green Bay is hurting, all their injuries. You get the feeling that Green Bay is just trying to make it to the final bell with these two games and get into the playoffs. And the Lions are the hunters. No exaggeration. Lions being the hunters the rest of the way. I think the Lions win this game clearly.
Me too. I think the Lions are going to win this game. I think they're too talented offensively, and I'm just not sold on the Steelers at all. I don't think they're winning their division. They're winning, like you said, Jack. They're one game away from having another winning season, but they're missing some pieces, man. They're missing. I wouldn't be surprised if Alan Lazard was picked up, since he was let go by them to have some chemistry, more chemistry. I don't know why they hadn't done it yet. But Alan Lazard and Aaron Rodgers definitely have a good chemistry on the field, and he can be an instant number 2 there. But I just don't see they don't have enough there. They don't have enough to. And I like the Lions offensively, and even with the defense, they're decent. I just think that at home they're going to show the Steelers up, and I'm pretty sure in that building they don't like Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers has gone there and won some throwing some Hail Marys up in that building and scored. So definitely they want to. Yeah. Oh my goodness, they definitely want to give him the business. So I think that's going to happen, and I got the Lions winning by maybe 1 touchdown.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game a little bit differently from the fact that the defenses. T.J. Watt's not going to start; he's out. Herbig may be out as well for Pittsburgh. Those are a couple of their losses, so those are big losses on their line. Star players. On Detroit, we both have Brian Branch and Kirby out for the rest of the season. Both of them are out for the rest of the season. And this is why I think this is going to be more of an offensive scoring game. We're having problems stopping the pass, so that's a problem. And we got to guard Metcalf now. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know how I feel about Metcalf. I love Metcalf when he came out. He reminded me of Calvin Johnson. He had the speed, he had the height. He's a big dude. He has these points in games though he just disappears. And it's kind of glad that they traded Pickens, to tell you the truth. Pittsburgh did, because Pittsburgh's the same kind of receiver. He disappears in games sometimes if he doesn't have somebody to back him up. And I'm just worried about Metcalf on our on our corners. Reed, one of the corner that we got in the offseason, he has not lived up to his billing at all. He's been really bad. So I see this game being a high-scoring game, something like 38-35, 38-31, somewhere around that. The Lions winning. And the only reason why the Lions are winning this game because they're at home. until they get that secondary straightened up and that defense better. I might even pick against them when they play Minnesota because I want them to be in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but the defense is just bad right now. And they've let a lot of yards to the last 3 teams they played. And granted, they may have won one of those games, but they're bad right now, and they're not playing with that same Augusta. Shep has to get those guys in line. If he could do that, they'll be. Do
you
fine.
think the loss of Aaron Glenn coming over to the Jets as their head coach has hurt the Lions?
Nope. Injuries are killing the Lions right now. They're the only team that's near playoff status that has the most injuries. In fact, they're one of 3 teams that have the most injured players on their roster right now. Number 1 in the league.
I understand that, but it gets to a point where you have to stop complaining about injuries. Last year, the Lions losing the playoffs to the Commanders. It was because of the injuries. Every team is having these injuries. I mean, look at what's going on with the LA Chargers. They lose Joe Alt. Wank is the offensive line, yet they're finding a way. You got to find a way regardless.
Well, I don't call 8-6 not finding a way to win. They're still winning games. That's not the point. I think there's a lot of things that have changed during this season that are disturbing the Lions' flow as well. I think that Dan Campbell has taken over the play calling too early from Morton. They didn't give Morton a chance. And under Morton, we had like a 4-game win streak under Morton. We haven't had a 4-game win streak since Dan Campbell's taken over. Now, our numbers might have improved as far as offensively, but at the same time, we're not winning games like we were winning before. Injuries do matter. Last year, it didn't matter. I mean, I didn't feel that they mattered at the time because the offense was the one winning the games so that the defense didn't have to be out there, getting mauled every 5 minutes. So, I mean, that was last year. And the offense lost the game last year. It wasn't really just the defense. We already knew the defense was going to give up yards. But it's just a whole different thing with the Lions this year. They have the interior line is still trying to gel. They're having problems with that. So the running game isn't exactly where it needs to be at, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is a dynamic running back. You can't be running back into a line that's not gelled and expect Jahmyr Gibbs to go through there and for 50-yard touchdowns all the time. It ain't going to work that way. Play calling is part of that. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure they're going to be looking for a new offensive coordinator on the offseason because Dan Campbell isn't that guy. But in saying that, I would have to say that, I mean, the Lions will win this game. I'm not too sure about the next 2 games, but they'll win this game because they're at home. And it's it's at home, it's coming, and they don't lose 2 in a row. They haven't won too many 2 in a row, but they haven't lost 2 in a row in a long time. So I'm giving that to Detroit. All right, so next one. Buffalo is at Cleveland. The Bills coming off a dramatic win over the Patriots. Going to Cleveland with Shadur Sanders started as quarterback. Buffalo is favored by 10.5. Who you got, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wondered a little about this game. Could it maybe be a trap game? I don't think so. I mean, Buffalo's just better. You mentioned Shadur Sanders, pit him against Josh Allen, and it's no contest, let's be honest about it. Buffalo, they're coming off an emotional comeback win against New England. Buffalo's defense is still spotty, especially against the run, but I got to believe that's just too much for Cleveland, that they should win this game decisively. It sounds like 34-17. The big interest is Myles Garrett. He needs one more sack, to go to break the record. Does he get it in this particular game, against Buffalo or not? That's the big storyline to me.
Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Buffalo too. I like Shadur Sanders. I like him a lot actually, and I think he has an opportunity to do some things in his league. Yeah, for sure. I think he has some things to do. He has an opportunity to do some things in his league, but they really shouldn't lean upon him. They should lean upon their running game because the running game is what Buffalo couldn't stop most of the year. And so you got a nice rookie in Quinshon Judkins. I think you should allow him to run the ball and just pound that defense because they can't stop the run at all. and you have a great defense. I got a question. Is Denzel Ward playing? Because I know he was out. Is he playing?
Let's see. I'll tell you in just a momento.
Because I just think that
basically they're going to running the ball to James Cook a lot.
Yes, I think they're going to run the ball a lot, and I think, but again,
he's out. Denzel
he's
Ward
out.
is out. Najuko is
So
out.
They're probably going to attack that secondary. I think Josh Allen will have an opportunity to attack the secondary, and I think Buffalo wins this game away. But because I can't see any situation where they upset the Bills unless they just run the ball a lot, and keep Josh Allen off the field. It's just not.
But it's interesting, James. If the Ravens do beat New England the way we think they're going to do, and Buffalo wins this game, all of a sudden the division starts becoming in play. I mean, it starts becoming a little bit up for grabs.
You're talking about AFC East?
AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That's why Keith was really adamant about his team winning, because he understands that's at stake for sure. Because they're on their tails. What are they? 1 game behind?
Yeah,
if
somehow New England, and I don't mean to backtrack, we'll get off it quick, but if New England somehow blows the division and Buffalo beats it again and truly restores order, wow, I mean, as great a year as it's been for the Patriots, it would be a disappointment unless they went on a playoff run.
For sure.
Well, I think that's something that when Keith was on, he didn't say that if that would happen. I didn't have New England finishing first. I had them finishing second to Buffalo. So if Buffalo wins the division, it'll just play into what I was saying before. Doesn't make New England, I think New England overachieved this year, to tell you the truth. They really did overachieve. But Buffalo is going to have that magic once in a while. As long as you got Josh Allen, you got a chance to win the game. It's kind of the same thing we say about Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. When you got Patrick Mahomes, you have a chance to win. I am with you on that running. I'm going to tell you something about Buffalo this year. Everybody thinks they may go to a Super Bowl because they have nobody in front of them. Problem with this is their run defense is horrendous. And I don't think a Super Bowl team that has a horrendous running defense, they're going to go against teams that have good running backs, really good running backs. And they can sit there and run through that line all day. We saw that with the Ravens. The Ravens did that to them in the first game of the season, just ran the ball on them constantly. If it wasn't for the Ravens' miscues, they would have won that game. So I don't say that they're going to blow Cleveland out the water, because I think that's what Cleveland, if Stefanski has, unless he's really trying to aim to get fired, his offense would have to go through that line. Judkins is a very good running back, very underrated rookie, very good. So I think that they can get some yards on that. I think Buffalo wins, but I don't think it's a blowout by any means. I think it'll be like by maybe a touchdown, maybe 3 points, 4 points, somewhere around there. But I do have Buffalo in that game as well. Next game, we have the LA Chargers going to Dallas to play the newly eliminated Cowboys. The Cowboys are favored by 1.5, though. What do you got, Jack?
I'm going to tell you, one thing we never consider is the competitive nature of the players. We look at what's at stake and we say, oh, well, this team, they're not playing for much and another team is playing for something. I mean, think of us. If we went out there and we had to play a game of touch football today, we'd be competitive. We'd want to win. I mean, they're playing at Dallas. People are going to show up for the game. They're going to want to win. Dak Prescott's going to want to light it up. Pickens and Lamb are going to want to play well. And the Chargers do have some holes. You talk about overachieving. Jim Harbaug's done a real good job there with a makeshift offensive line. I mean, Justin Herbert has been phenomenal at times, and Harbaugh deserves credit for putting Justin Herbert in discussion again as an elite quarterback. Chargers have a decent defense, but I look for shootout, a lot of points to be scored. And I guess this is my upset, of the day, perhaps. I mean, I like the Cowboys to win a very high scoring game. And I don't think it's going to keep the Chargers out of the playoffs, but teams do have a little bit of a blip. And I think that's going to be the case today. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys 38-31.
So yeah, James.
I don't think it'll be that high of a scoring game. I think it's probably going to be a little bit lower. I like the Chargers defense and think that they can hold them to about 20 plus points. If they can do that to maybe 20 points, 17, 20 points, I like the Chargers to sneak a win. Like the commenter said, they can eke out a win in Dallas.
But the Cowboys do have a decent run defense. That's what they prioritized this year. And even with Amari Hampton,
He's
being
back,
a really good rookie. I saw a stat. We compared Amari Hampton to Ashton Genty. And I know I'm not smart enough to know a lot of these analytics, but one of the analytics that came out that shows that Genty may be the leading ball carrier in the NFL after he's hit on contact. So maybe Genty just doesn't have a chance with the Raiders with his offensive line, and Hampton has more opportunity to shine. I don't know.
Not really. Hampton's offensive line is putrid. I mean, but he's showing that he's a better back right now, I think.
Putrid pass blocking, the putrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to remember something too. Both the corners for Dallas, Bland's on IR, and Diggs has got one heck of a mess going on in Dallas himself. He was a game time decision to be benched last game. It might happen again this game. Tyler Guyton is out still, the offensive lineman for Dallas. Chargers really, besides their offensive lines, that Mickens is out as a safety. So that anybody that's out in the defense really is a benefit for Dallas. But I would say that the Chargers are finding ways to win. And they're gritty wins. These are, they had a gritty win against Philadelphia. That's a gritty win right there. They were playing awful in that game, to tell you the truth. Fumbling and bumbling and stumbling in all that game. So with that being said, Dallas is going to play for pride because they are a professional team. They are the star. They're going to be out there playing, but I think the Chargers will win this one in a close game. As James said, if they can keep them under 20 points, I'd see the Chargers winning this one. John's going to let Diggs play. Probably, I don't know. Jones and him are having a big spat. Kind of reminds me of the Micah Parsons thing going on. But anyway, next game up.
Street circus.
The circus, yeah. The Minnesota Vikings are going to the New York Giants at the Meadowlands to take on them. They're 3-point favorites, the Vikings are. Who you got, Jack?
Yeah. Well, what could you say about a game like this? The Vikings, to their credit, are getting better as the years gone along, even though they're a bit of that year's been disappointing after the season they had last year when they went 14-3. I guess it's a comparison of the young quarterbacks. I was going to say rookie quarterbacks. In reality, J.J. McCarthy is a rookie, even though officially he's not one. And Jackson Dart is to see the development. Giants defense has been a disappointment this year. Real disappointment. I'm not going to spend much time on this game. I'll go with the Vikings, just based having a little better team, winning 27-22. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Giants won. Well, what could you say? There's not much. There's not much they're playing for standings wise. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. I picked them to be better this year. I thought they were going to be. They've been a disappointment, and like Jack, like you said, the Giants defense has really been disappointing. You add a top 3 pick to an already good defensive line. It's supposed to be better. Yes, and he gives you 2 sacks this whole season. It's just really been bad, and so And then, of course, the bad luck when you lose Malik Neighbors to ACL tear. And then, of course, you have to Russell Wilson doesn't play well, and you put your rookie quarterback in. He shows some signs of life, but now there's a lot of talk about him taking too many hits and concussions and needing to learn to slide better. I mean, obviously he's a rookie, so he's tough. He thinks he's Superman so far. He'll learn. He'll learn. But I like the Vikings in this game. I just think that they're going to be they're more seasoned with the wide receiver core, and I don't know. It's just again, Jack, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win this game, but I'm just going to flip a coin here and go with the Vikings. Yeah, Scatterville as well. Yeah.
Well, just to let you know some things about the Vikings on their injury front, since we know a lot about what's going on with the Giants' injury front. Metellus, their starting safety, he's out. He's on IR. Their best linebacker, Grenard, he's on IR. So, I mean, and Hargrave is out this game, the defensive tackle for Minnesota. So it's – I'm sorry, I got the Giants in this one. I haven't seen anything. Minnesota plays really good at home. They do. But remember something. They blew out the Commanders at home. This is after they got beat by Seattle pretty bad the week before. They didn't score any points that week, and they didn't let Commanders score the next week. But the difference was they were at home that week. They played the Commanders. They're going against the Giants. I think the Giants are going to their defense is as Jekyll and Hyde as anybody else's team, this year. I mean, if Dart gets out there and starts doing some things, I don't think they have enough weapons on defense to stop him. And this could be pretty high scoring game. Depends on what JJ does. Yeah, it'll be a high scoring game because there's no defense on either side.
Yeah, but the Giants don't really have anybody to throw to. Who are they throwing to?
Anybody. Minnesota doesn't have a good secondary. They don't. They didn't have it with even with Metellus out there. They didn't have a good secondary, and now they've lost a lot of their beef up in the front. That's going to make a difference. They can run the ball barely. I mean, you still got what's his face, the running back for the Giants. What's
Jordan Mace? Tracy.
Tracy. Yeah, Tracy. You got him. He's a pretty good running back. Hey. You got to make do with what the receivers you got. But then Jackson Dart has done that. He's done that. And he'll run. Yeah, he'll slide. And hopefully he won't get concussed this game. That would be nice if he actually learns how to slide instead of playing. So those are one of those things that, he'll learn. No. That's kind of like, okay, I won't jump off a cliff, a 500-foot cliff and think I'll live. That's the kind of thing you got to do with a concussion. If you get concussed, that's a lesson you can't just learn. You just can't get into that position. But anyway, if he can play lights out, I think the Giants win this game. It's going to be close, pretty high scoring. Well, high scoring to me is like maybe 33-30, maybe 30-27. 30-27. I'll go with 30-27 that they beat the Minnesota Vikings. But it'll be a good game between two teams that ain't going nowhere. I can tell you that. Let's see. Next one. Cincinnati Bengals at the Miami Dolphins. Who you got, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, time limitations, helping me because I didn't want to say much about this game anyway. Now I have an excuse not to. They're playing out the string in this one. I mean, they're playing at Miami. I'll go with Cincinnati because the weapons are still there. They got Joe Burrow, but you get the feeling this season can't end soon enough for Joe Burrow. I mean, you wonder about the motivation. Quinn Ewers' debut today. That's the exciting part about it. Miami has a decent defense. Say what you want about them. They're 6-8. They haven't been a disaster this year. They lost last week, but they rebounded, from the early season troubles. But I like Cincinnati. Let's call it 26-16.
Is T. Higgins back?
I don't think it would matter, but he's their second.
Yeah, he's questionable, but that means he's playing.
If he's playing, I got the Bengals because I mean, like you said, Miami has been playing a lot better, Jack. But I think Joe Burrow and if he has both his weapons, they're gonna win in a higher scoring game. I think they. I don't think they. I think they edge out the Dolphins. But with that said, like you said, something's got to give. They need to do better with this team, and or else Joe's gonna want to call for a trade or something like that. But we'll see. I got the Bengals winning this game.
Yeah, I got the Bengals winning this game too. Until I see Ewers work that offense, I hate to say like Tua. But if he can control the offense like Tua could when he was out there, then I would give him some props. But until I see that out of him on a consistent basis, I can't give him any props right now. So I'm going Bengals on that one. All right, so we're down to the last two teams. Jacksonville is going to Denver. Jacksonville is getting a 3.5 point underdog in Denver. Who you got, Jack?
I give Jacksonville their respect now. We've been talking about it, and I know, Brian, you weren't a believer. I wasn't a believer. I'm a believer now. Now, if Denver wins decisively today, I'm no longer a believer. You were a believer, James, I guess you're saying. You weren't a believer?
I was a believer, yes.
You were a believer. Yeah, Brian and myself weren't really believers. We thought they weren't a bad team, but not like a serious Super Bowl contender. I think they make a believer out of Brian. I'm a believer now. I think they're going to Denver and they win because I think the Broncos are due for a little bit of a letdown, a little bit of a blip. And I think this is it. And Jacksonville's battling for the division title. They look like they're playoff bound. Now, Trevor Lawrence, I think this is his 5th year. Tom Landry, the legendary Tom Landry, used to say it takes 5 years for a quarterback to develop. In the modern NFL, we don't have that patience at all. They better develop by the 2nd year at the latest. I think Trevor Lawrence is an old school quarterback. It's taken time. He's getting better. He is getting better. We could say he's a good quarterback now, not a very good one, but a good one. He's graduated to the good category, and I think he's going to take the next step and be very good as we go along. So I like Jacksonville to go into Denver and win that game. Let's call it 24-17.
Okay. I wouldn't be mad at that score because I think it's probably going to be my mindset is a similar score, to be honest with you. I think that the biggest point of emphasis was to get weapons around Trevor Lawrence and allow him the time to mature. Like you said, I'm not sold on him totally as a quarterback, considering all the money that he's being paid, but that you can't help with. I mean, if you're supposedly in a top 10 quarterback, you're going to get that command that kind of money. But with that said, the biggest point of emphasis here is adding Jacoby Myers. He's been the guy that's really been stepping up with him, and he's been solidified himself as the number 1 receiver there. With Brian Thomas Jr. having a lot of drops, I think he's in the top 5 in drops. To me, Brian Thomas, when he was at LSU, he was the number 2 wide receiver, a great number 2. And he's probably going to be the number 2 there now. But with that said, he's got more weapons to throw to, and Etienne is giving him more space to run. He had a great game last game. I think they're going to go to Denver. They're going to go up against a very formidable defense when they get there, and they're probably playing against that mile high altitude as well, where they're probably going to be a little tired while they're playing there, but they'll do enough to win the game. Maybe, like you said, 24-17, maybe 24-21, somewhere around there. Because again, I'm just not sold on the offense. I love Sean Payton, and I think it's been great what he's done for this team. He flipped them around in 2 seasons, and so three. They look a lot better than what they were when he first got there, and they're going to be scary in the playoffs with that defense. But I like an upset here. I'm going with the Jags to win this game.
Yeah, I guess I'm going against both of y'all because I don't believe in the Jags. Okay, they're making it through these teams that they lost to Houston. Okay, and they had a lead on Houston, and Houston came back and beat them. And that's a good defense. Okay. So on the first front, that they can play good defenses and show that they can take a lead over them. But at the same time, you lost to that defense as well. And they're playing in Denver. They're going against Surtain, so that'll eliminate Myers. Because I'm sure they're going to put somebody else. I hope they don't put my man on there who leads the league in PIs. That poor guy. He don't get no respect.
That's what I'm saying.
But in Denver, though, that defense, I can't. And Bo Nix is coming around. I'm not saying he's there yet. But yeah, I got Denver now. I like Denver more than I like Jacksonville. I just don't believe in Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's got, if they beat Denver, then I'll believe. I'll be with Jack. Jack will say it for you. I believe in Denver. I believe in Jacksonville if they beat Denver. I will. I just can't believe in them now. Last but not least, San Francisco is going to the Indianapolis Colts and Old Man River. San Francisco's favored by 5.5. Who you got, Jack?
Yeah, the story's going to center around Phillip Rivers' second start back. His age, the layup. One thing you never forget how to do is play quarterback. When you played as long as Phillip Rivers on his level, you never forget how to play quarterback. It's like riding a bicycle. It's the physicality. What can he do at this point? The 49ers are the quietest 10-4 team I've ever seen. No one talks about them. I mean, look at their record. It's outstanding. No one speaks about them as any threat, as this, that, even in their own division. Or we're talking about the Seahawks and the Rams, even going forward. It's like the 49ers are lurking in the bushes. I mean, then they've been perennial contenders outside of last year. They've always been Super Bowl contenders for year after year. Indianapolis is about to fall out of the playoffs. If they lose this game, they're not making the playoffs. They're cooked. They're done. They're hanging on by a thread because let's face it, Houston is winning today. And if Jacksonville beats Denver, they need this game to stay alive. I think they're going to find a way to win it with Phillip Rivers. I think he has an extra week of practice. He doesn't have to be that good. He just has to be good enough. They got to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's got to get back to 100-plus yards and make a couple of big plays. And the Colts defense is really going to have to show up the way they're capable of. I see the Colts winning this 2017. Them finding a way.
So yeah, James.
Unless Phillip Rivers went on some radical intermittently fasting diet to lose about 35 pounds, I just don't see that he's going to make a huge difference against the 49ers defense. The 49ers have been through the ringer with injuries, with players not wanting to come back on the field and play. Brandon Ayuk. I just don't understand. And there's still, like that commenter said, they're fighting for the number one seed. Coaching matters. I'm not saying that Indianapolis has bad coaching because they have great stuff, but they're not being able to overcome the injuries. That's the difference. 49ers are overcoming their injuries, and Indianapolis has not. And it's a shame because Jonathan Taylor was having an astronomical year, and I think not having a quarterback to help continue that run is really going to hurt him, and it's unfortunate because, like you said, if they lose this game, they're cooked. I do believe you can stick a fork in them because they're done, and I think the 49ers are going to win this game. They're going to go there and not only win this game, they're going to push themselves to try to who do they play in their last division? They play a game in their last division.
They play
before the end
Seattle.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the wire, man. I think they're going to win this game, and they're going to go and play Seattle and try to win that game.
I'm just going to say this right before Brian goes quickly. If Phillip Rivers plays really well these last 3 games, well enough, and keeps showing improvement, and he wants to come back next year, he's going to be the Colts starting quarterback, not Daniel Jones. I don't think they'll sign Daniel Jones.
No, he ain't. He can't move in the pocket.
If he
That'd be great if
plays
you had
well the next 3 games, let's see. At this moment, the answer is no. Let's see what he does these 3 games going forward. And with more conditioning, he'll be able to move a little in the pocket.
Unless he has a DeLorean that can go take 10,000 gigawatts to go to the past to the 25-year-old Phillip Rivers. The days are going forward. He's going to continue to get older, and if he doesn't lose weight, he's going to get bigger too. I don't know. I mean, I just think that this was a moment where they needed somebody. They called him. They had a relationship with him. He's only there for a few games. I don't think he lasts to age 45 and come back and play a full season, Jack. And be successful as a quarterback. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, San Francisco is just, like you said, that's a well-coached team, and they're missing a lot of players too. I think they're one of the top teams up there, along with the Lions, that have missing some key personnel. Bosa, middle linebacker,
Warner,
and then Ayuk, who is spastic. Nobody knows what the hell is going on with him. And they're making do with Pearson and
Jennings,
Kittle. I mean, they're all playing up the level. Their offensive line is doing pretty well. I mean, they're not the offensive juggernaut people think they are. I don't know. They're more defensively minded, and I think that's a tribute to Robert Saleh too. And I just don't see Indianapolis having. They're going to do what every team is doing right now to Indianapolis, stopping the run and making you win the game by throwing. And if you can't do that, and see the difference between Daniel Jones and Phillip Rivers in this instance is Daniel Jones had some mobility. Phillip Rivers has no mobility. That's what makes that offense work is the quarterback's mobility. And that's something that Phillip Rivers doesn't have at this moment. So I just think that this is going to be the fork in the turkey. They're going to be done. So I got San Francisco in this one.
And the turkey's wearing number 17.
So that concludes our schedule. Real quick here, and you got to get this in here because, we got to pay homage to Jack once in a while. Jake Paul had a boxing match. I would say it was a sparring match, maybe.
No, it was a legitimate fight, mate.
Yeah. I don't even know how it lasted 6 rounds, to tell you the truth. I think Joshua was just toying with him in those 6 rounds because he put him down so many times.
I said it would go 4 or 5 rounds. I said that on Glove Fist. Jake Paul fought to survive, ran around the ring, and would occasionally unleash a power shot. It was the only viable strategy he could have used. He couldn't stand in front of Joshua. So, I like to compare things to track and field. He was a miler, Jake Paul, running against a marathoner. You can only last that long. Mm-hmm. And Joshua had a hard time cutting off the ring because of the way Paul was running. But Joshua was always in control. And all people do is remember the end, Jake Paul getting a broken jaw and getting knocked out. That's what they're going to remember at the end, at the end. And listen, the Jake Paul show is going to continue. I'm sure he'll be back. He'll fight someone else, and there's going to be some interest in it. And Jake Paul, let's not forget, he's a boxer now. He's been a boxer for years, but we always refer to him as a YouTuber. He's a boxer at this point. I saw him fight in Miami 6 years ago live when he was starting out. He was a YouTuber then. He's been in the gym all the time. Give him some credit. He did what he could do. He was overmatched against a bigger, stronger, more accomplished guy. And he got his jaw broken, unfortunately.
I got a question real quick before the time runs out, Jack. Do you think should he fight the gimmicky fights that he's fought in the past, or should he continue to fight seasoned fighters like this guy, Joshua?
He's not in the class of the top guys. That's not going to happen. But he'll pick a spot. Something will come into play. It's entertainment, We're talking about it, just the ideas. Anyone else he could box who he's we would talk about.
He was put number 15th in rankings in box. Come on. Come on.
Brian, I could get you 6 fights and get you ranked, make a couple of calls. It doesn't mean anything, really.
Well, I will say they both got big paydays. That's good for them both, and we can move on.
It was entertainment, and can I tell you something? You get a number of other cruiserweights who move up to heavyweight, who've been around. They would have done it similarly. Jake Paul did not disgrace himself in this fight. He didn't embarrass
Evander Holyfield was a cruiserweight, and come on.
No one's comparing him to Holyfield. Get out of here.
I know what you mean. I'm just saying, to make the excuse that he's moved up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, and this is what you expect. I mean, I'm just saying, Evander was a dominant cruiserweight, and he wasn't no shabby guy at the heavyweight option.
No, Jake. People thought Anthony Joshua would just go and hit Jake Paul and knock him out. Jake Paul competed he ran around the ring. He fell down a lot. He fought a fight to survive, but he would unleash his power shot every once in a while, hoping he could hit Joshua on the chin. He certainly couldn't win rounds against Joshua, to get a decision. He left the crack of the door open slightly, to get in, and, nothing. It wasn't a surprise to anyone, and they supplied a little entertainment as well. So no knock on what happened, it didn't hurt boxing at all.
Well, not that you could hurt it any worse than it is hurt now, but anyway.
Correct. It's like a division. It's like a Division III school, one of the top Division III schools going against Ohio State. I mean, what type of chance do they have? They have to get it. They got to get like about 4 or 5 turnovers. They got to get fluke plays, and but they're going to lose badly at the end.
Joshua was Ole Miss, and Jake Paul was Tulane.
No, they were more evenly matched, Tulane and Ole Miss. I'm going in. Yeah.
All right. On that note, everybody have a very good Sunday. Again, catch Jack and Keith tomorrow on Weekend Playbook at 8 a.m. and then Jack and Frank as well tomorrow at 7 p.m. for Gloved Fist. Until those times, I bid you adieu.